brothers and sisters, so check this out. When it comes to, well, let me read this to you first before I get on into this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes to us a message to the black man. He writes, page 229, this poor slave, after his masters let him go free, his first problem to solve was securing a home of his own for the first time. He must now do for self. Master is no longer responsible for him. He must solve his own problems. He must now realize that he must work hard to be equal of other nations. He must also remember that justice and righteousness is his defense and wickedness is his enemy and the downfall of his government and his people. He must learn to make friends and to protect himself against enemies. He must dig into the earth for her rich treasures. He must seek to the friendship of other nations, to do business with them and trade product for product. But if the slave is lazy, he will always be the slave of another. No nation respects a beggar. Now, before I go any further, how some of you get the Honorable Elijah Muhammad never wanted separation from that, I have no idea where you get that from. But either way, this weekend, brothers and sisters, was a very emotional weekend for me. And more likely than not, I'm going to get into that in the next segment. But let me just state this very simply. When we say tomorrow, I got a couple of questions to ask you if you're a part of a black movement. And that is question number one. How long have we been doing this? How long have you been doing this? How long has your organization been doing this? Has your organization been into existence 50, 60, 70 years? Are you battling? Well, I've seen this done. Are we battling for who's been in existence longer? Whether it's the Moors, the UNIA, the Black Power movement, the Nation of Islam, the Nuwabians. We're fighting for who's been doing this the longest. And my question is not who's been doing this the longest, but my question is, how long have you been doing this? Because if you've been doing this for 50, 60, 70 years, and we are still complaining about black people getting shot and killed, we're still, by police, excuse me, let me be specific. We're still complaining about black people being passed up for promotions and black people being passed up for business opportunities and black people having a hard time in the business media, in the entertainment media, in the business arena, in the construction trades, in the STEM fields. If your organization has been doing this for 50, 60, 70, 80 years, then I'm here to tell you that your organization's best interests are not here they're here for tomorrow, but not a better tomorrow. Are they looking down the line? Are they looking 10 years? Are they looking 20 years? Are they looking 30 years, 40 years, 50 years? And what will your organization look like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now? Is it an organization that will be filled with highly technical minds? Will you have highly technical buildings? Will you have separate territory for yourself? Will you control your own infrastructure? Will you grow your own food? Will you be able to control your own communication network? These are the questions I ask every week, but I try my best by God's grace to ask them in different ways because the message is, the message may be the same, but it has to be varied. If you're thinking that what we're saying is old and tired and we keep saying the same thing, well, then I have to tell you, like we always tell, as Muslims always tell people about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you're not getting the message. You're not getting the message. Because if you have been doing this for 40, 50, 60 years as an organization, and we are still complaining that we can't get a substantial, let me tell you something, brothers and sisters, 4, 5, 6 buildings, which none of us have, but 4, 5, 6 buildings is not progress, man. One plot of farmland is not progress. One generator that you bought from Home Depot is not progress. And 50 to 60 guns that have scraped off serial numbers is not progress. You and I have been looking at tomorrow and masturbating about it, but today is the day where the BAIO and Dawood come through, and we ask you for a better tomorrow. We'll be back. So now we're going to get into the meat of this because I got to get this off just in case anybody on a call, and it just has to be said. This has been an emotional weekend for me because of what happened. It's like you don't know what happened. Don't act like you don't know what happened this week. And so I was content with just laying down and relaxing, let my children run all over me on Saturday, and I start seeing all these pictures of this event. You know what event I'm talking about. And so I can understand a lot of brothers and sisters who are on my friends list who are not in the so-called conscious community or Black Power movement proper. Oh, I went there, and I had such a great feeling. And we was there, and it was such a good feeling. Oh, what a feeling. And whenever this goes down, it's kind of emotionally trying for me. And the reason being is, like I said in a meeting that I go to once a week, it's a father's meeting. I was not born and raised in the Nation of Islam. I was born and raised as a Christian. And so because of that, quite frankly, that I had to worship, or not worship, but celebrate Christmas and believe in Santa Claus. And, when you're the only child in the family, at some point they, break it to you. There's no Santa Claus, but it's just me and you, as in me and mom, or if you've got a single mom, it's just mom. However, when you are in a family and you have siblings and you're the older one, well, then they break it to you in stages. So, you got your older child and you have to take them behind closed doors. Don't ruin it for your brothers and sisters. But guess what? There's no Santa Claus. And you'd be like, what? There's no Santa? Yeah, but do not. Or and if you got a black mother or father, this is what you hear. Boy, we'll kill you. Boy, we'll kill you if you ruin Christmas for your other siblings and your cousins. And so you have to be quiet and you have to let it rock. But at the same time, you feel kind of different. Because in your mind, you're like, God damn, like they believing in this cracker with this red nose, and he's supposed to come down this chimney tree, and that was a lie. All of these, you get what I'm coming from with this metaphor, with this analogy? So for me, this weekend, 10-10-15, that was my version of Santa Claus. I'm older than a lot of y'all. I really am. I'm older than a lot of y'all. And I know that every organization has a public persona and a private persona. And the public persona says, we've been in existence for 60, 70 years, and we have never had any violence. We have no history of violence. Oh, but the private persona says, nigga, we'll come get you if you say this and that about our leader. If we even think that you have anything against us, we'll surround you out in the street. And let me say something to you and be very, very forthright. This is not something I read about in some damn book. This is not something that I heard about because I got good contacts. This is something that happened to me and happened to some of my brothers and sisters. I've had situations where there have been 15, 16 dudes on my porch threatening me to never practice Islam again. So don't tell me about something that you read in some book or you heard from somebody or whatever. I experienced it, B. So how the hell do you think I feel when I see my youngest siblings posting pictures about a Christmas that's a lie, that's never going to come, about a big, fat, red white man with a big red nose saying Merry Christmas, when in reality, I know full well that the Christmas is never going to come and that the better tomorrow that they're promising comes with a whole lot of violence, intimidation, brainwashing, and quite frankly, if you're not with them, then what the hell do you think is going to happen to you? So it's very, very emotional weekend for me because I don't want to just come on Facebook like a jerk and start ruining everybody's picture and say, listen, these dudes ain't what you think they are. I've been a part of that, and they did this and they did that, and the people who did it are still on stage now. But I had to be quiet because I'm a good person, and I don't want to ruin it for some of y'all. But if you come here, you're going to get ruined. Because I'm bringing it like none of my other brothers and sisters in the BAIO can bring it about this subject because they have not been a part of that organization and they don't know. But I do know, and I've been there, and I'm telling you, it's a fraud, it's a lie, and it's not geared towards a better tomorrow. It's geared towards Merry Christmas, and you're the ho, ho, ho. Okay? So think about it this way, brothers and sisters. Think about it this way. In military history, in military strategy and science. You have two things. I'm not the only person that knows this. Holla explains this very well a lot of times in his videos. But you have strategy and you have tactics. Strategy is the macro. It's the big picture. It's the vision. It's basically the far-reaching thought. It's that which charts the course. It lets you know that you're in the right jungle, in opposed to what tools and objects you need to cut through the jungle. And tactics basically are the opposite. Tactics are what you use in order to cut through the jungle and set up your beachhead that you need to conduct war and conduct campaigns. That's the best analogy I can give you on the lowest level. And if you need so, I can go on a lower level. And I'm not trying to insult nobody. Okay? And so therefore, when we say we want a better tomorrow, what we're saying is right now, brothers and sisters, is that, and I'm going to get into this a little bit more in the next segment, what tomorrow do you see for us right now? If things keep going the way that they are now, what tomorrow do you see? Do you see greater economic prosperity for black people? Do you see more black billionaires? Do you see a larger amount of the pie being taken by black people? And I mean black African people. I do not mean when you say, well, the Chinese are down with us. Well, the Indians are down with us. No, I'm talking about Joe, Blow, Raheem, Dushan, Daquan. And I seen this sister this morning at the Rite Aid with this name. I said, how did your mother come up with that name right there? And I'm not Raven Simone, but I'm just saying, some of the names that we come up with, brothers and sisters, it's just like, that's a name that you must have come up with in labor. It had to be, because it was completely discombobulated. But, I mean, listen, my slave name is no better. So anyway, what I'm saying to you is that do you see those people getting a big picture of the economic pie and prosperity? Do you see those people living a better life other than living in a gentrified city or a project? Do you see those people being able to walk the streets without being gunned down by police and then getting off on technicality? Do you see that? Do you see those people on a more intelligent show than Empire and Scandal? Do you see it? If you don't see it, then that means that your organization is working for tomorrow, but it is not highly invested in a better tomorrow. And if it's not highly invested in a better tomorrow, then you need to come join us and make a change, because your organization is caught up in tactics and is not caught up in strategy. Figure deal me? You see, brothers and sisters, we are proposing and developing the people and the vision for a modern industrialized nation. No, we're not only talking about growing 5 to 6 tomatoes. No, we're not only talking about having a couple of shacks with some damn batteries saying we're living off the grid. No, we're not talking about trading with certain people in Africa and waiting for some damn return. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a better tomorrow. We're talking about a place where your children could grow up and they can be geniuses at 16 years old and have national nation pride, where they can come into this world and they can say to themselves, if I study hard, if I learn this and I learn that, I will be working for my own people and building up my own nation. Some of you get on my nerves with this one, because for some reason you don't understand, and I don't understand how the hell you could fight it. But what I'm saying to you is, yes, okay, we're going to have communities in America. Nobody's saying that you can't have that. But what I am saying is, don't you want to be free and unhindered of the incumbency of fighting against a natural-born enemy? Don't you want to have the ability to multiply your income by 5 and 6 and 7? Wouldn't you like to have it like white folks at some point? Wouldn't you like to have an unfair advantage where they only hire your color? Wouldn't you? And if you say no, and you say we can do all of that right here, then I know I'm talking to an idiot. And what you need to do is you need to catch one of the conscious shows that throw the blah in the air because they just don't care. That's what you need. But when you come to this radio show, we are going to put the question to you, are your organization and you, I'm pointing the finger at your chest right now. Do you feel it? Are you committed to a better tomorrow? Because if you're not committed to a better tomorrow, if you want things to stay the way that they are, then you're right. We don't have a lot in common. And if we don't have a lot in common, then quite frankly, I don't even know why you're listening to me right now. But here's what I'm going to say to you, brothers and sisters, scientifically, because I have, I have a theory and a practice. And my theory and the practice is I love science, but I don't teach on something that I don't work on. Now, I'm not saying that if you do that, that you're a fraud and you're this, that, and the next thing. You know, even though I'd be very honest with you, some of you do not know what the hell you're talking about. And I've said this many times, especially in my expertise, which is electricity and electronics. You have no earthly, God-given idea what you're talking about. And you be like the magnetic field, and then shut up, fool. So anyway, let me get off that tangent because I know I could get a little bit too passionate about that. But either way, you do know that electricity can't flow without resistance, right? You do know that electricity cannot flow without resistance. And you do know that if you put the reason why we have so many devices is the manipulation of electrons through higher or lower resistance. I'm trying to make this very simple. And please, I hope you don't think I'm being condescending, but again, I know y'all been messed up by a lot of people who don't know what the hell y'all talking about. So that's why we have to go back from ground zero. So the manipulation of electricity has always got to include the use of resistance to speed up or slow down the flow of electricity. And dependent on, you put something that's a planned resistance in a circuit in order to, A, slow down the current, and B, reduce the current or reduce the voltage. So knowledge this. If, in fact, you are against nationhood, if, in fact, you are against a separate territory for yourself, if you are against the creation of a modern industrialized nation, well, then now we have way more resistance than we thought we would have, and now current and voltage flows to a crawl because not only are we fighting against racism, white supremacy, but we're fighting against your stupid behind. Because what I want to know is this. What I want to know, quite frankly, is that we have to meet in closed rooms, in closed chat rooms, and behind closed doors to come up with a strategy to slowly but surely prosper individually these days, right? And even the most prosperous of people could be multiple times more prosperous in a place unhindered by racism, white supremacy that only looks at their own merit and is a true meritocracy. Now, me and Warlord talk about this a lot of times, and sometimes me and Kala talk about this, because there's never really been a true meritocracy. And please don't tell me that Kemet was a meritocracy. Please don't do that. Please don't tell me that any Islamic state was a meritocracy, the black ones, not the Arab ones. Please don't tell me that. There's never really been a true meritocracy. So having your own nation is a double blessing by science as well as by spirituality and economics, because no one has been able to do it. However, I think that with the collection of the best black minds, I really think that you and I would be able to do it.
I'm trying to save you from a life of when you like, oh, you're going to be like, dang, you're going to end up like Khalid Muhammad. What happened, man? I thought I was loved and everything. I said, we're trying to help you people. You know, get out, snap out of that, you know, that nonsense, you know. You said, I'll die for business of Farrakhan. I said, look, see, the whole thing is this. We die for our land. You know what I'm saying? The day we have our land, not only will we die for our land, we're going to kill for our land if necessary. You know what I'm saying? That's a different thing.
That's right.
And these other people, they put their love into a man, a person. You know, that's a holdover from slavery. You know, and a lot of times, let's be honest, a lot of revolutionaries get into the movement because a lot of it's ego-driven. You know, and then what happens is they put it all out there, and for a while people listen to them and everything. Then when they fall off, you know, people become more educated, you know, and black people not just educated. As soon as black people get more money and they feel they don't need you and what you're saying is not resonating with them, they naturally move away from you. You know what I'm saying? See, when we say nationhood, that transcends economics, that's social, whatever your lifestyle is and everything, because everybody, no matter what your lifestyle is, what your religion is and everything like that, what your income level is, everybody should want a homeland, a piece of land, somewhere that they call their own, like everybody else. This is simply just us being normal people. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else has a homeland, a place away from America. See, the reason why, I'm going to say something, and I'm under my 5 minutes, right? Under my 5 minutes, you know, I'm not going to hog the show, you know what I'm saying? The reason why I've known this, why you see white people, why they feel so hell bent on learning hip hop and doing this, because you got to understand something. Like unlike other people, white people want to absorb everything in the world, right? But black people, they feel like they need to have absolute mastery over. So no matter what we do, whether it's jazz, what we write and everything, they feel they got to know it. They swear they know your story better than you do. And they could do that with us because we have nothing here. Like when a Filipino, you can take anybody from Cambodia, Filipino, you'll have whites hang around them. They'll try to learn as much as they want, but they're saying in the back of my mind, all my culture that's in the Philippines and everything, my village and everything, you're never gonna know. See, we don't have that in America because we don't have no space. You know what I'm saying? We have no base. We have no sanctuary that we can say, well, you may know what you know around us, see my lingo, but my real culture is back home. And you're never going to get that. In America, they have mastery over us. They even now tell us what we ought to wear and what we ought to do and this and that. And they've even defined what blackness is.
Right.
So doing what you're doing, and so they even was able to find the Nation of Islam. Malcolm, why is a white person defining what a nationalist ought to be? Like, hold on, we had this conversation before. When someone says, when a white person or anybody, particularly white people, they'll say, why do you guys want a nation state? I read Elijah Muhammad. He never said nothing about a nation state. Well, why do you think you're going to be the master? You're going to use Elijah Muhammad? Maybe he didn't know what we know today.
Exactly.
Maybe he don't have the confidence of seeing young Africans coming up and creating billionaires and everything. He lived in a different time period.
It's like saying,
like Dubai.
Remember we spoke about that before. It's like saying, well, Bruce Lee never did MMA.
Right. Bruce Lee would have done it now if it was around. He would have adapted.
It's crazy, man.
So, like that said, well, that's all I really wanted to say. Say what to say, but you could put me on mute. I just had to get that off my chest.
No doubt, brother. Stay with me, all right?
All right, brother.
Hey, bro.
All right, I want to give this brother a chance, somebody who's been on hold for a while. Hold on. Who's been on hold the longest here? 10. Oh, okay. Last 4 digits, 7672. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Dominique calling from Chicago.
Oh,
you hear me?
Dominique.
What up, Dom?
Yeah, what up? What's up, y'all?
So what do you feel about this show topic, Dom?
Y'all on point. Is all about, having a plan and setting yourself up for the future. And that's what I've been focusing on. I just feel as though every black person in America should be focusing on that. To have a land that we can go back to, like Carla said. I was just disappointed, man. Like this weekend, I couldn't believe it. 'Cause I'm like, why do we still want to hang around celebrities? And why we just want to hang out all the time? You know what I'm saying? And then this is crazy because it's adults trying to find positive things in something that's pointless. A march is pointless, yo. And then as soon as you don't attack it, but you point out what we need to do, then they say you're being negative or whatever. Like, when I first started getting on Blog Talk, I was making a plan for myself for what I'm going to do for the next 5 years and accomplish that. And now I put myself in a position where I can go, take a test, whatever, get my CDL, be my own boss. That was my plan. And that's what we all need to do. Instead of depending on people to do things for us or tell us justice or else. Or you need to do this or do that. Like, we like to be dictated by other people. And, it's just hard to be around people that look like you and that you care for, and they just don't want to get it together. Like, we can't be individuals. We have to stick together in order to get to where we got to go.
And there's no conflict. Because I remember, Dom,
Yeah.
when you first started your plan, I remember that. And when you spoke to me, what did I say? I said, yo, brother, do that shit.
Yeah.
There's no conflict in you going out and making a plan for yourself and still being involved in nationhood. There's no conflict. But the problem is the cultural conscious community that we're dealing with right now, they're going to attack you. They're not going to listen to you. Like, your point of view means absolutely nothing because you're not on stage.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, majority of these people, and I'm not going to say conscious community, whatever, but everybody that like to throw their fists in the air and say black love, majority of them, they don't, some of them don't got jobs, and if they do got a job, they not making enough money, and we do need finances for this to even go forward.
Right.
And you got to find a hustle, or you got to find whatever that's going to bring in money so you can do what you got to do. And that's my thing. Like, I really don't care if you work for the white man or whatever, but, I mean, like, you can't be independent, not working for nobody and think you're going to bring in at least $80,000 a year. Impossible, unless you're doing something illegal. You feel me?
Yep.
And
Those type of old school jobs don't exist no more.
Yeah. You got to get a job. Like, I'm starting to, if you don't have a job, I don't even want to hear what you got to say, because there should be really no excuse. I know felons right now that's making $80,000 to $100,000 a year. So I'm trying to figure out, if you ain't got no felons, why you not working? Why aren't you, steady on Facebook? Why you on Facebook preaching black this and black that? Like, we just got to be realistic about certain things, man.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Realism. Dealing with real, everyday issues that people got to deal with, not this pie in the sky metaphysical bull crap. And I'm telling you, man, I've shown a lot of patience with this stuff, because a lot of people, I try to approach people on the level that they at. But I'm getting to the point now where I'm getting fucking irritated, man. I'm really getting irritated with people. First of all, people having a warped sense of what spirituality is. Spirituality is only what you do. That's all it is. It's what you do. It's not some mystical thing that's out in the atmosphere, that's out in the ether, or something that you got to go to a store and purchase. It's inside of you, and it only expresses itself through what you do.
Yep. That's when it only manifests, when what you do. Man, because I have to, man. Just because I have to. Because enough is enough. Enough is enough. Listen, I go out of town a lot, and I got a little baby now, and she's a daddy's girl. And, they don't know how to talk yet, you know what I'm saying? So what happens is that, the more intelligent ones, they try to communicate to you almost from birth, in a way that they can, because they don't know how to talk yet. And every time I come back in town, she just grabs me and she clings on me and does not let go. So I've been doing everything I can to put myself in this, because I don't want to take a pay cut, but put myself in a better position so I don't go out of town. You know what I'm saying? Because the reality of it is that, yes, I do want to secure my family, but I want a better tomorrow for my family. I want my family to be able to vibe and deal with me, because what's the use in chasing the dollar if you can't be around to enjoy the dollar with the ones that you love and that you're fighting so hard to make the dollar with? And so for me, that is, you mean, well, why are you telling this your business, Brother Dawood? It's very pertinent. It's very pertinent because that is a change in strategy and tactics economically to make a better tomorrow for those who you love. And that's what the Black African Infrastructure Organization is about. I've been called so many names since I've been down with these brothers. I've been called an Afrocentric simp. I've been called all sorts of names. And quite frankly, if that's what you think this is, if you are such a numbskull that you think that I've just joined on to some quote-unquote Back to Africa movement and I'm just trying to be Hotepping and this, that, if you have not listened to any of our shows and seen the intelligent brothers and sisters who are a part of this, these ain't no You mean like these ain't no corner hustlers, brothers and sisters. These are very intelligent brothers and sisters who are very successful in their personal lives, and I would have it no other way. And so therefore, you mean like for me, I wouldn't be allied with somebody just trying to do the same thing. That's what I just came from. Anyway, I want to get this last segment in before I bounce because the brothers and sisters, they want to call in, and I want to hear what they got to say because at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, my voice is just another cog in the machine, and it's the combined voices of the BAIO that keeps everything going. And I love these men and women. I really do. And so therefore, you mean like I didn't get a chance to really talk about this last 2 weeks ago, and so I want to touch this real quick. And so, and I forget exactly what award show this was, but Viola Davis gets on and she talks about how, you know, basically in a nutshell what she talks about is that, you know, she has this award, however, there's not many opportunities for black women actresses. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us in the 12-point program, he said that we want equality, but equality of opportunity. Do you know what that means? Do you understand the wealth gap between black families and white families? Do you understand the income gap? Do you understand the job gap? Do you understand the job and unemployment numbers of young black men and young black women in America in opposed to white men? Why does it always have to be about race? Why the hell should it? Oh, I was going to say something else. Why the hell should it not be? Why should it not be? Why should it not be? And if you really want to ask me, brothers and sisters, I may get in trouble for this, but I have to say it. If you want to really ask me what the biggest contributor to mental death and power in the black community, putting you to issues, it's the black American preacher, period. It's the black American preacher is one of the biggest contributors to all of this mental death and power, becoming cold, stone cold, numb, and blind to color and what's going on, because he continues to sing to you that it's not about color, and you, when in reality, that, you know, white people continue to pull away from you in economics and a finer quality of life, and yet you still pray every goddamn Sunday and certain days during the week for you to be blessed by a Jesus or some other God, and you say to yourself, well, you know, this is going to happen, and it's not about that, and every man is my brother. Well, goddamn, how come your brother don't put you on the same economic footing as him? How come your brother don't put you on the same quality of life footing as him? And so therefore, brothers and sisters, if you go and do a Google search, because, you know, I got the numbers in front of me, I don't feel like reading anymore. I'm just that pissed off. I don't feel like reading anymore. You Google what the median income for black people is, and you Google it for white people, because I'm not going to do the job for you no more. You go look it up. And when you see the huge gap, here's what everybody, all of my smart friends on Facebook are saying. All of my smart friends on Facebook are saying that next year they're going to have another great recession, and some people are saying that this recession is going to be greater than the one in 2009. How many black people do you think lost their jobs during that? How many black people do you think lost customers as business owners during that? How many black people do you think with degrees were not able to get inside the corporation that they spent their whole life savings and earnings to go through school to get through? How many of you think basically was told we're on a hiring freeze, the economy is bad? And then what about the people who were working that got vacations cut and 401ks cut and hours cut? And every time you looked up, they said, well, in this economy. Let me tell you a little story, and then I'm going to bring some brothers in. When this whole, this whole income, when this whole downturn went down, started at somewhere around, I want to say, 2007. Me and African Warlord X, we're going to do a show called the Second Coming of the Third Ward when he's available. That show is going to be bananas, because in that's what we're saying is coming. You think Hurricane Katrina was bad, and it was only for black people in New Orleans. That's coming to a lot of you who don't give a damn about what you do for a living. But that's neither here nor there, right? So anyway, I was in the locksmith field, right? I'm a second-generation locksmith, as in my dad is a locksmith, and my dad's a heavyweight. My dad is a heavyweight, as in my dad is well known in the locksmith circles and has stripes, put it like that. So either way, I was in the locksmith field, you know what I'm saying, doing what I do. And when this economic when the downturn hit in 2007, here's what happened first. What happened first is the company truck that you got to take home, you couldn't take it home anymore. And then after that, when you were on call, not only did they take tax off every job that you did, then they took $10 off the top for quote-unquote gas tax. So think about it this way if you don't understand what I'm saying. Every time you leave your house to make that company money, and you're supposed to get a little bit in return in your pocket, they also tax you by $10 just because you left your house. Can you imagine that? And every time we protested, they said, well, if you look at this economy, yeah, how come we can't? You promised me if I came to this company, I would be able to have a company truck. Well, if you look at this economy, man, you promised me that if I worked at, after hours, that we split every call 50-50. How you going to take $10 more? Well, if you look at this economy, and every time I turned around, it was putting the screws to you because of this economy. And I said, F that. I said, you know something? I said, this particular field, basically, they use people as replaceable commodities. I want to get into a field that's more specialized, that's more specific, that's more elite, so that when I get into this field, when you say this economy, I'd be the one saying that to you. I'd be the one saying I want more money because of this economy. I'd be the one saying I want more benefits because of this economy. And eventually, when I go on my own, I can charge more, like my dad does. I can charge more for jobs that the average person don't want to do, because it's this economy. And so, therefore, brothers and sisters, what I'm saying to you is very simple. Viola Davis is an above-average actor. And even as an above-average black actor, as a black woman actor, Viola Davis has to engage interracial, interracial scenes. She has to get engaged in lesbian scenes. She's got to do everything that is taboo to everybody else just to make a decent dollar. Just to make a decent dollar. And you're saying to me we should stay here? You're saying to me we should not try to create a nation off the continent? You look at that woman give that speech, that woman was hurt. And you're telling me that I'm a simp because I want to make a nation off this? Are you crazy, B? Are you crazy? I'm trying to give us a fighting chance to at least because if you're above 40, you're irreparably damaged by the stress of living in this country. So you're done. You're never going to live out, the true potential of your life. But maybe your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren will have the opportunity to grow up unhindered. And let me say this, and then I'm going to bring them in, because at first this morning I had no topic, and now I got way too much to say. Let me say this to you, brothers and sisters, before I bring the brothers and sisters in. What's funny to me is it always comes down to justice or else will you fight. The black man, he's a faggot because he doesn't want to fight. These queens want to fight. The black man is scared to, listen, let me ask you something. Fight for what? Fight for your projects? Fight for your housing projects? Fight for your apartment that you rent for somebody? Huh? Fight for what? Fight for what? Now, I can see if your child was harmed or your family's child was harmed or whatever, but some of you Negroes need to chill with the fighting stuff. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't fight, and I'm not saying that those who are with me wouldn't fight, but what I'm asking you, and that's going to be, matter of fact, one of these days, not next week or the week after because I got 2 sessions planned, but one of these, the subject of my show is fight for what? Because if this is not your land and you don't have no land here, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? You're fighting? What are you fighting for? Don't we clown the drug dealers for fighting over blocks that they don't own? Don't we clown the gang members for fighting over blocks that they don't own? Now you, who are supposed to be consciously aware, know all the pantheons of gods and everything else, you're telling me that we should fight for a country that we don't own? Are you crazy? No, I don't want to fight for something I don't own. I don't. And yes, I do want to protect my people. And I think that that's where satellite communities come in. I think that that's where satellite organizations come in. But lo and behold, if I don't know you and you're not a part of me and you're not a part of my family, I'm not going to drive 5 to 6, 7, 8 hours to fight for you. And 9 times out of 10, let me tell you something. The people that you're saying that we should fight for are the people who wouldn't even bat a freaking eyelashes if you was out there trying to get them to join organization insert here. So don't tell me about fighting for nothing and that the queen's going to fight and the queen's this and the queen's that. Because let me tell you something about black women. Black women are awake and very intelligent. And half these women that you think want to, quote-unquote, fight for something, they know what time it is, B. They know what time it is. They know that that's a stupid notion because they know that we don't have nothing to fight for. They will fight for their children, and maybe they'll fight. Damn sure ain't fighting for land that they don't own. They're not fighting for 2675 West 36th Street. They're not. They're not fighting for 2100 Jackson Street. They're not. So you need to shut up and calm down with the whole black men ain't fighting and we don't want to fight stuff because you look stupid telling me to fight for something that we don't own. Because I'm going to fight when we have either satellite communities and my own nation for a better tomorrow. And that's just how it is. Anyway, let me calm down because my ears are getting hot now. Caller from the 347-240.
Peace, this is Hollow.
Hello? Oh, peace, big brother. How you doing?
Peace. Yo, let me address that, without fighting for our country. Brother, didn't you know this is our country? I'm one half Wasikta. I'm one half from the Wasikta Nation. You didn't know? This is our country here.
My bad, I forgot.
Oh man, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. But on a serious note, that's actually gaining a lot of momentum. I've been seeing it more and more on my timeline. All this Native American, you got all these black Indians rolling around. So now all of a sudden now that nationhood is on the docket, we done took it.
Right.
You see how they do? You see how everywhere we go, they always try a Negro stalling tactic to stay right here in America. And to be honest with you, I told a brother online, I just had to be honest. The only reason why I'm even engaging in the talk of satellite nations with these Negroes is because I'm trying to appease the people that still have Stockholm Syndrome that feel that there's something here in America for the future.
Right.
That's the only reason, because I'm totally done with this place. When we get our foot on the ground over there, I intend to stay there.
Yes,
that's
sir.
Me personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we talk about the satellite nations because that's a reality. The vast majority of our people are going to be here in America because that's all they know. A lot of them, that's all they want to know. They don't see anything other than that. So fine.
Right.
Only thing that I've said, and I think that we've all suggested, is invest some of your resources for something that works in your interest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If anybody, I don't know if anybody, you're a New Yorker, so you know about Crown Heights.
Yes,
the Jews in Crown Heights have ambulances. They have police cars. They have fire engines. They have everything that their community needs because the people in the community invest a certain percentage of their salaries or whatever they make so that they can make those things happen in their community.
Right.
They also have good relations with the fire department. They have good relations with the police department. A lot of them are trained by them. They interact with the city, with the city and the agencies of the city. They're not in conflict with them.
Right.
And there's no reported cases that I can think of where cops are just beating up Jews in Crown Heights.
Not at all.
I haven't heard one.
Nope.
So I guess we're like black people are just running a reverse lotto where we just happen to be lucky when it comes to ass whoopings. We're not lucky when it comes to picking numbers, but when it comes to getting our ass beat, that's just the way the cookie crumbles for us. We just happen to be lucky when it comes to getting abused by the police, or maybe there's something else going on. Maybe.
Exactly.
I don't know. But,
brother,
I love what you're talking about. Love everything you're saying. I mean, I'm just happy to be on here listening.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much for coming through. And brother, listen, I wish I could have been there, but I had to work late. But that show you did on Wednesday I listened to that show at least 3 times.
Yeah, your brothers make it hot. That's what I said. The brothers make it hot, definitely.
Yes, sir. So anyway, let me see if I can bring somebody else in because we got a little bit of time. I'm going and going on time because I got to go out of town, of course. But I love you, black man, and I will be talking to you.
All right, I'll be right here with you.
Peace. Caller from 847. Did you want to say something?
Hey, Black Power here. Welcome, brothers. Welcome to my house.
Oh, my dear brother, Chef Rob.
You caught me by surprise, man. I was pulling a sandwich from my mouth. Man, you're on fire, brother. You're on fire. You're on fire. You're on fire. Like I tried to, peace to Brother Hop and everybody else. Special greetings always to the sisters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like I was trying to allude to, I've been talking about it, so I'm going to put it out there. We're going to have some kind of products to go ahead and put out here with our name on it, so I need to get with you guys to go ahead and make sure we got the perfect thing, perfect logo, perfect label, or even if we don't, just to go ahead and have somebody cuss us out. So brother, you put out a lot of good information, man. And my head was spinning for the moment. I was like, yeah. I'm ready to walk through a wall as we speak. Shoot, I don't need to get on no plane. I just go ahead and build my wings and just go ahead and fly over myself.
Thank you, Rick, brother. I'm more than humbled, but it's just once I start going, it just comes out, and it's so frustrating sometimes because I keep trying to tell these people, why don't you just give this a thought? We're not trying to threaten what you're doing. We're trying to add to it. But, that comes from, I think, the mentality of if they actually end this, then we won't have a place in it. And that's really my thought, my brother.
Yeah, it's always one of those things where we got a whole lot of talkers, and
right.
So when it comes time to it, it's like, okay, well, let's do this. It's just like you can see it yourself. I remember times growing up, it's like, okay, well, we live on this street. We used to go ahead and fight with the people on the next street. So we go ahead and play football or whatever, sports. But when it came down to it, if we had to go ahead and knuckle up, and you out there, and you out there, and you throwing them down, you throwing them, and you look back, and everybody your crew that ran away. You're like, what the hell?
Right. Right.
So that's kind of like where we at. We got a whole lot of people who talking, but when it's like, okay, well, let's do this. And they ain't around.
Right.
They ain't gonna do nothing.
Right.
So, we get that's like a damn disease. But brother, you was giving some great information, loving it. Keep doing your thing. Let's put this thing into motion.
Yes, sir. Thank you, good brother. Thank you very much, and we appreciate you. And I look forward to investing in whatever it is you have because you have my back, and I trust you.
Oh no, this is for us. This is us. This is just something to go ahead and put our stuff together. Okay? That's why I'm putting that together.
Yes, sir. Okay, let me bring this last person in, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
757, is this caller?
Yeah, what's going on, brother minister? How's it going, man? You spitting fire there.
Oh.
Yeah, had me cracking up there. Yo, tell about your metaphysics. Shut up, nigga. That's how you got to be so tired, because you know and I know we love our people enough to know our people many times are full of shit.
Right.
It's the shucking and jiving. This is how we survived in America, even on the plantation, knowing how to be slick, shuck and jive, con men, intimidate. We know where to draw the line without intimidation. And don't go to the white man, But we know how to bully and intimidate each other. And that's what the Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam is all about bullying and intimidating and trying to browbeat other black people. That's what all these black organizations are. They have no effect against the white people. You know what I'm saying? No effect whatsoever.
Well, if I could just say, the traditional Nation of Islam, as in the one under the Honorable Muhammad, it was definitely, for the most part, was not about that. But the one
I know that. It was the Negroes who joined it, flooded in there like the Farrakhan's when I turned it into that. It was a separatist organization that basically said these are people that basically, because before Nation of Islam was created out of the Garvey movement. There was no integration. There was nobody on television saying black, white. There was no Bill Cosby. There was no Sammy Davis Jr. There was no Pearl Bear. There was none of that stuff like that. So the idea that we should just build ourselves, clean ourselves, and live among ourselves in America and whatnot was just that's what it was, But later on it became like some people got in there, and Elijah Muhammad said, "I'm a messenger. I'm just telling you the truth, right?" The other people got in there and turned him into a god. You know, he's divine. He's you know nigga stuff. You know. But what I want to say about that when you said something about why is it got to be about color? Let me give you an example. Now, on one hand, I was watching Bill O'Reilly the other night, right? Where he had that lady Monica Crowley on, right? And they were talking about Black Lives. He actually called the Black Lives Matter movement a terrorist organization akin to the KKK. And I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Now, I'm not a fan of the Black Lives Matter movement because I think they're stupid. But the bottom line, the KKK, really? And then on the one hand, they say like this: well, black people need to clean up their own communities. What communities? Can you identify a black community? I just read today where in Oakland, California, white people, there's alarming, police are starting to complain, there's an alarming number of white people who are moving into traditional black neighborhoods, and they're calling the police. They get police. So every time they see a black person, they call the police. So that's what's bringing all the conflict with the police right now, is white people moving into these traditional black areas, you know? And they constantly call the police, and the police are reacting to this, you know? That's why the spike in police violence is happening. It's happening everywhere. It's gentrification.
No doubt. If I could just add to that real quick, and that happened up here in the Capital Region for years. You know, as a young soldier, you would go to the Albany ghetto, which is called Arbor Hill, and every door you hit was a black person. We so much so that we memorized the doors where white people lived at. Somewhere around 1998, 1999, they decided that white people wanted to move back. So what they first did is they stormtrooped Albany with like hundreds of police cars everywhere. It was crazy. And they were just arresting black people for any old thing just to send a message. And eventually what happened is that they allowed white people to move in. The property values all went up. Now, mind you, this is not like a New York City where they bought properties and rehabbed and made them better. No, they basically just moved white people into the same scuzzy old houses that were dilapidated, and they raised the rent for everybody.
Yeah,
so
that's what happened.
Where I live at now, which is Schenectady. So what now?
Oh, that's what exactly. Yeah, go ahead. That's what happened. I'll tell you the same thing happened here in Norfolk.
Right. So what happens is now in Schenectady, where I live, which is a over-integrated neighborhood, much of the black people who used to live in Albany moved out here. And the reason being that they moved out here is because the rent is low, and it's always been low because it's just like a trashy ghetto, and they're not going to try to. But eventually, one by one, all of these cities, they're doing that too, in order to basically wipe black people out to the point where we'll be so scattered that we won't be able to unite unless we're online.
Yeah, right. That's what it is. I saw the writing on the wall. That's why I got on the internet. I saw that black. And then what happens is they put the worst black people together with some. Just because you were low income, let me give you some example. Just because a person's low income, don't mean they're in the drugs, they're in the crime. There are decent black people out there who are working class black people who don't have a chance. Their whole thing is either they got to move out to the white suburbs, right, which they live beyond their means, or they got to live in a crime-infested area. We had 2 shootings, killing here over here in Norfolk this weekend. College kids, college-age kids, at a house party.
Right.
Every day it just breaks my heart, And so what I want to say about Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly says black people need to clean up their communities. They need to do this. Well, the bottom line is we need to fix their own economy, do the blah, 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 fix their families. Now, if a black man says, irritated genie's going on a crusade about the black family, they call him a racist, a black supremacist, because he says black man, black female, he's a racist.
Right.
If you say black male, black female, you're a homophobe, you're a racist, this and the other thing, they discredit you. You say black businesses, you start person about black businesses, you're a racist. It's like, if you say black people, Black Lives Matter, we should clean up our community, do that. Like, well, you don't care about white people? See, the whole thing is, this is what happens when they have power over you, where they have the media over you, where they can basically put their talking point. Every other group of people have their own nation state. They don't have to listen to that because they control the media that the masses listen to. So the bottom line is, indirectly, we're still being controlled by them just by their media talking points being out there to being able to shape up the way we have to react to their talking points because they're powerful. Somebody like Bill O'Reilly tells us, you black people need to do this. Giuliani's black. Well, for generations, black people have tried to do this. You ever heard of Malcolm X? You ever heard of Nation of Islam? You ever heard of Marcus Garvey? You ever heard all these black movements that you infiltrated, sent the FBI in and destroyed? You want to blame us now for the conditions of Black America when we warned you generations ago that this was going to happen.
No doubt, brother. No doubt.
You know?
Listen, at 2 o'clock, so I got to go. I thank you for calling in, and I agree with everything
brother.
you're saying.
I'll be on Tuesday night.
No problem. You know I'll be there because that last show you did was fire. And
yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna step it up this one time too. Matter of fact, I might have a Nation of Islam brother call in. You know, I guess a Farrakhan defender call in. You know, he says he wants to call in and debate me on the air. Okay, I said, dude, okay, you asked for it. Yeah, I know. You know, and I can tell he's young. I can tell he's silly. He don't have much education. I said, look, dude, I was you one time. I thought everything that flowed out of Farrakhan's mouth was gold. And then what happened was I became a man. You know?
Right.
You know, now once you become in your 40s, when you get in your 40s, you become a man. You know? Yeah.
Right. That's what Muslims are saying. Most of my Muslims, you know, that are not necessarily in that nation, that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying that, yes, you know, I was young before, but at some point I am a man, and it's not that I worship any leader, you know what I'm saying? I may follow his teaching, but I grew up and I started thinking for myself. You know, if I was to be at that show, because I don't know, you know, where I'm going to be Tuesday night, but I'm going to try to be there. And if I want to be on that show, how I would come at that young brother is basically, look, brother, you're here to defend the honor of your leader. And I understand that because I was you at one time also. But what you need to understand is that when we try to tell you what's coming down the pipe, we're looking for a better tomorrow. You don't understand that at some point in your life, you're going to have children, you're going to have a family, and you're going to have responsibilities. America will dog you as a piece of garbage if you don't take care of your family, and they will double dog you for being a part of a movement and not taking care of your family. And that right there, no matter, even if his mouth can still go, Colin, that right there is going to go down to the deepest level of his soul, and one day he's going to say, damn, that brother did tell me that if I couldn't, you know, support my family, this was going to happen. So really, with these kind of dudes, they'll go back and forth with you and try to prove the purity of the minister. Like, I'm not even interested in that, B. I just want you to know that you are wasting your goddamn time, and you need to think about your family and your future.
Yeah. Like I said, we just have, love you too, brother. And like I said, we're putting this together, Black African Infrastructure Organization for Black Power, for Nationhood, African Land Infrastructure Nationhood. So join us. All right, Mr. W. Talk care, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace and love, brother.
Yeah. Brother.
What's up, Peace? How you?
How's it going?
Good.
So how much of that were you able to actually hear?
No, I was able to hear it. Yeah, I mean, the context of Ta-Nehisi Coates' article, I think that there's this unrelenting feeling that your growth, your survival, your sustenance has to come from Caucasians. Because this is the position of a lot of people I find, is that if we just beg long enough, maybe they'll take their foot off our neck. I don't understand the logic of that. Like, if you're in a protracted conflict or war, imagine telling your enemy, yo, son, you stepping on my esophagus too hard. Can you give me a breather? Fucking, he gonna keep stepping on that shit, and he might just take his combat boot and crush your larynx. You know, it's I don't know why people think that, you know, they think that the goodness of the white man is gonna shine through. You know, like what you call it from the Boondocks, Uncle Ruckus. You know what I mean? We gotta get away from that way of thinking. But as far as what you were saying about us being able to find it is a possibility, but there's a couple of things just to kind of get clarity to is that because one of the concerns is always that there is someone who's going to, you know, take the money and run, and that's why the need for transparency is there, and then a clear strategy. So part of what Hope was talking about as far as taking the assets and pooling them, this is akin to what Jews did, but just to kind of tweak it a little bit. So, and I don't want to, you know, split hairs or anything, but being able to go in and contribute money and buy assets that are undervalued, that's really the key to it, because if we were to leverage what you're talking about for when you say 5 times, that's really leverage. But the leverage has to be smart, because that's what the Jews did. So if you notice, when people talk about Jews being extremely stingy and everything, because they're value investors. So we've never understood the difference between price and value. Okay, so if you ask someone what's the difference between price and value, right? Price is what you pay, but value is what you get above and beyond the price that you can't quantify. So, like, for instance, for instance, that's why some people are willing to spend more money at a Nordstrom's, because of the shopping experience, right? Because Nordstrom provides them value because of the way that their customer service reps treats people, or like Wawa, stuff like that. So you have to be able to provide value, and that's one of the hallmarks of what we try to do here at the BAIO, like by giving information. We're not charging anything for information. I believe that provides a great deal of value, and in turn, people go out and they get the skills and abilities that we need, and hopefully they see it fit to contribute back. But as far as us being able to do this, but it's a paradigm shift. I think I talked about that on another show about, understanding, the value and the importance of, your decisions with your dollar. Like, if it comes to people, and here's the thing, there's sacrifices that need to be made, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, like, go to, washing your stuff by hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just, for instance, like, the different decisions, like, for instance, when we go to purchase something, if we, like, for instance, I talked about this briefly, but, like, the idea of a co-op, people being able to take their resources, pool them to get better prices on the stuff that you buy anyway. That's something that's a fairly simple concept that people, but then people get into, brand recognition. I have to have this brand, when really it doesn't really matter. But those small incremental things, if we can get people to change their mind on things that they thought were important before and look at them a little bit differently, that's really where it starts at. Because then at that point, you can still have the stuff you like, but being able to put away a little bit more money, so now you can, not just have money, to contribute to BAIO, but have some money for your offspring. I mean, because how many people do you know in New York right now that live hand to mouth? Like, literally, when they get their check, they have nothing left over. I mean, if they have a problem with their car, they shook daddy. They done.
Yep. That's the majority of people in New York.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know, because I'm from here, so it's like, I understand that, but it's they won't get out of it if they don't change their mindset. Because, like, for instance, how many people do you know, for instance, that they use a certain brand or something, or they call every diaper that they see is Pampers, even though they be using Huggies, but they got to be associated with some name brand because they associate name brands with quality, right? And just that little bit of a mindset change, like, dudes in Harlem spending $700 on ugly ass Space Martian boots called Margillas. You know what I mean? Like, for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, to impress some broad that really ain't thinking about you anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all that type of stuff. We got to change that way of thinking. We have to understand value versus price and what is truly valuable.
Now, what would you classify this as? Because I remember when I was in school, we had a discussion on it was a business administration class, and the teacher asked, "What does Mercedes sell?" And then he asked the class this, and so everybody quite naturally said they sell cars. And he said, "No, they don't." Mercedes sells status.
Yeah, aspirational. Matter of fact, to be more specific, the whole concept of public relations stems from the Sigmund Freud family. Edward Bernays, who is the father of modern public relations, he's the one who actually changed the landscape and created the paradigm shift to get people in the United States from being utilitarian
to being aspirational, and that's why you started seeing when the baby boomers came around, they were so consumed with assets and status and having more of this and having a second home. All that came out of Edward Bernays, and they knew this. Here's the funny thing about the people who constructed this country. They were wise enough to understand human psychology to get people to consume. That's why products that are made in the United States, if you had to compare them to other industrialized nations, they don't last as long because it's called functional obsolescence. They want products to break down so you can constantly consume. Because think about the way a home is built right now, right? Why do we build homes with wood knowing that they attract termites when you could buy steel for about 25% less than wood?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because they want your house to get messed up so you can repair it. You know, because think about the chain of people. When you buy a house, right, or you get a condo or anything that requires your ownership, that you now are responsible for repairs and maintenance, there's a whole chain of people, you know, everyone from the Home Depots of the world to the Lowe's to the contractors that all eat off that.
Yep.
So, like I say, so the one way to be truly revolutionary is to change our mind process on what's important. Why am I attracted to this brand? Think about how much of marketing is based on New York and the fact that, you know, a dude goes out and he spends $300 on some J's. He goes out and he spends some wild bread on some whatever jacket's hot at the time, whether it be Pele or Averex or any one of those jackets, and they go out and they buy, you know, Fugazi, you know, jewelry that's worth 1/3 of what he really paid for it, if that, and just so he can get the attention of a female, right?
Mhm.
You know, and he's been conditioned to do so. And so, like I said, I think that's the most difficult part of the process is getting people to understand that these things hold no value, because long term they don't give you a return. You know, something of value provides you a return on your investment of time.
Right.
And I think that's where we have to at least try to get people to understand. You know, don't be focused on, you know, who's cool for the moment. But we're social creatures, though, right? We're social creatures. We can't ignore that. You know, we're social creatures. But, you know, instead of, like you said, that, you know, $800 that you spent on clothes. And how many dudes you know do this? And, you know, if they get paid, they spend at least $800 on just clothes.
Yeah.
Just clothes alone.
Yeah.
So they can go to the club, try to meet some more chicks. It's a constant rat race and roller coaster. So there's a subsection of the people that we probably aren't going to reach, but the ones who are looking for more and understand that, you know, we can't, the path that we're on is unsustainable. Those are the people that we really need to reach out to and bring them into the fold. And if they can take hold of some of the concepts that we're talking about, I think that's what we build our foundation from.
Yeah, we also need to, you know, address a lot of these myths where, like, how many kids do you know of that can't get a meal? That's literally out in the streets, they're starving in America. You know, what percentage of people is that?
Dude,
I mean, I see kids in the projects with freaking PlayStations and Wii's and Xboxes.
Yeah, I want to say it's an infinitesimal number. I would say that there's truly about maybe less than 1 to 2% who cannot get a meal anywhere. I mean, being realistic, it's probably 1 or 2%. I can't see it being like. So I hear some of these numbers that they come up with, and I just don't see that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 1%.
Because you'll have a family member. Usually have a family member or something. You know, they're not gonna let the baby starve. You know, even if you don't get along. You know, you got families where one person's, you know, been financially successful, and they know you got kids. They're not gonna let that child starve. They may not necessarily give them also taking their kids, but at the very least, they'll be able to get something to eat. And
you have all of these social programs up their ass. here in this country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not Iraq is my point. It's not India, where you literally, I mean, that's poverty. That I looked at a thing in India, and I swear, it almost brought me to tears.
Mm-hmm.
The way that those children, and especially like the way that they treat their own children.
Yeah.
You know, but the whole point of me making this show was that my position is that we have to know what we want. And it seems to me that the people that are at the forefront or the intelligentsia mainstream for us don't have an end game. It seems like they're like, remember me and you talked about the whole dynamic between Batman and the Joker?
Mm-hmm.
and I had meant to upload that clip, but I was having problems with it. But the Joker basically said, you know, to Batman at the end, it's like, I don't want to. You don't want to kill me for some misguided, you know, sense of morality, and I don't want to kill you because you're just so much fun. And he said, I think me and you can do this forever.
That's pretty much it.
That's what it really is. It just seems like we are trapped in this abusive, dysfunctional relationship, and it's not about solving anything. It's not about coming to any conclusions or trying to move on and get our situation straight. It seems like we love the fight itself.